Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, June 1st, so everything reset. We need to play 21 more Hunter class cards on the Asian account and then we can move over to the European account. So might as well play ranked, might as well do this, and let's just keep going through all the news. We've got a game called Forgotten Realms RPG. It's an RPG maker game. It's 20% off for $3.99. That is all I really need to know. It's the first game from this developer. Close that tab. Gamma Sutra has an article. Keywords, which is apparently a company, has acquired the game marketing outfit Fire Without Smoke for $6.9 million. Gamma Sutra seems to cover the financials of the industry a little bit more than I care for. This is new, I think. There's a bit of green here and a bit of green here to help prove that it is a hunter card even when it's gold. But this too is a hunter card, but only this green border tells you that. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has an article, the story behind Remedy's viral dog mocap star, and this is like a pug dog, I would describe it as, and he's in kind of a mocap suit that's been custom made for him. I don't know how much actual motion capturing is happening there. The quote in this article is, "We had a dog, a mocap studio, and some spare time, so we thought, why not?" So they really just taped a bunch of balls to the dog for the mocap, and it's not an actual suit in the same way that you wouldn't call wearing a bunch of duct tape around your body a shirt.
I hunt alone.
Just have to play cards. That's all I really need to do. And they kind of missed the tail, and that would be the number one thing you would want to mocap is where's the nose, where's the tail, what is the facial gestures. You really need a face scan, and the dog apparently has, as I'm looking through some of these videos, has a decent ability of tricks where you can roll over and sit up and do things like that. So there's they have the right kind of pre-trained dog, but the points that they didn't turn into data are not much, and the body types of dogs are extremely varied. So if you were going to really make a database and sell it for different dogs, you can't just scale up a pug's bones into a like hound dog, or down to a chihuahua. Like those are all different movements, different body types. You're gonna have to get a whole collection of people. Alright, so this is clearly a fake game that from the developer that is still flooding Steam with fake games. Still hasn't been caught. This is very interesting to see how long, if ever, does it take for a fake game creator to actually be caught on Steam. And I think the answer is a shockingly long amount of time. If never. Okay, we have a game called Kitsune Kitchen. Let's see, what is this? A indie casual sexual comedy, sexual content parody visual novel. Okay. And apparently you're dating the toaster. This is one of those horribly animated, cheap, lazy efforts of a visual novel. It's only in English, so can't blame any other country for this. This is a Western piece of junk. So 30% off for 69 cents. I don't think so. The soundtrack is free. I bet the soundtrack is nothing. Remember, just playing cards.
Job's done.
The next game we have on Steam is called Illusion: A Tale of the Mind. It says it's an indie adventure game, and it looks like a real game. 3D graphics and all. Now, it is set in a very surreal world. So is this the Alice Madness Returns game that will beat Alice Asylum if that pitch actually gets accepted and made into a game? Maybe. That was inherently my feeling with American McGee trying to do yet another Alice game. Is that why not, instead of paying for a license, just make a game like Illusion: A Tale of the Mind, which seems to be covering the same kind of ideas with just being slightly not focused or built off of the Alice in Wonderland brand. Therefore, there's no threat for it being sued for copyright infringement, which frankly it probably wouldn't be sued for copyright infringement even if it did cover Alice in Wonderland, because that's public domain. The publisher for this game is the publisher of a point-and-click adventure game I played. I didn't really like it. The Interactive Adventures of Dog Mendoza and Pizza Boy. Didn't really like the story there. And there's a whole bunch of simulators that have also been published by this publisher, most of which are mixed or negative. Actually, the only game that's rated positive from this publisher is the interactive action stories of Dog Mendoza. However, this is not a point-and-click adventure. This is a 3D platformer type thing, which, much like, not a Hat in Time, but there was another game that came out, Rime I believe was the name of it. This could be the next Rime, where it's a game that just doesn't run well and isn't great. It says it's E10 plus in the rating, but I have no reason in my mind whatsoever to not wishlist this, because this is a game that looks like it's right up my alley as far as playing older styled platformer adventure games, things that just don't exist anymore as more and more things become RPGs and first-person shooters. This I want to play. So Illusion: A Tale of the Mind, going to the wish list. Not that I'm getting much at this point. I don't think I'm getting any games for the summer sale, which should be happening in about 2 weeks. Like, still, for the most part, I'm just gonna be buying all of the Pinball Table Pro Packs for Pinball Arcade, since those are going out of, they're losing their licenses probably forever on June 30th. The only thing that would really change my mind on that plan is if I specifically, some kind of announcement happened at E3 saying, we've got this game and we're going to have all the licenses and we're going to get the pinball tables, and they're going to be way better on our game than the others. Next game we have on Steam is called Football Tactics and Glory. It is a soccer game from a developer who's only made one other game that's mixed. This one, however, is 10% off for $17.99, and it's rated overall positive. It said it came out June 1st, but it already has 1,178 reviews. It must have been an early access. I still don't see a great reason why I wouldn't want to play FIFA if I was going to play a soccer game. I think that's the one to try, and I have so many other things to work on first before I would say let's go and do a whole series of soccer games to see if I learn them. There is something about this though. What is it called? Football Tactics and Glory. It says it's a strategy simulation sports turn-based indie game. I don't think you're actually controlling the characters. I think instead what you're doing is you're upgrading the skills and maybe setting the team, and then you're watching kind of this turn-based event, because I'm seeing people kick the ball in, and when they kick the ball in, everybody around the ball is getting a amount of XP, which is certainly a different thing. They're also heavily selling this game as a Twitch game, where it's like Twitch plays. So there might be something there, particularly if you're a fan of soccer. For me, I don't think so. Eurogamer has an article. Nintendo is releasing a gorgeous new 2DS XL inspired by Link's Hylian, Hylian shield. US only at present. I believe the only way you can get this console is from GameStop. So it's like a store exclusive to GameStop. It looks very pretty. Certainly, I'm not sure if we are really at the point where you should be buying a new 2DS XL. You'd probably be fine though. There's going to be so many used copies of the 2DS, 3DS games. I don't think there are any 2DS games. I think it's all 3DS games, and then you can play them on the 2DS if you don't want the 3D effect, which frankly I don't think many people ever did. It's $160, which is, I suppose, fine price, particularly when you're betting that as you're in the GameStop you can find half a dozen of games that people, you or your kid has not played before. Let's see, let's play this, and then do this. Check here. We've got a game called Deathmark Volume 1. Says it's an indie visual novel detective story. Is it in English? No, it's just simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese. That explains the almost good Japanese animation, but it's still not really being good enough to actually be in that category. Let's go and close that. We have a game called Skelly Tower Defense, which is an action indie casual strategy game. I bet it's a tower defense game. Yes, it is. It looks like garbage. It's $1.99 with no discount. It has 5 Steam achievements. There seems to be a wide gap between like real games that have a handful of Steam achievements and people that literally don't have any achievements at all. I'm wondering here, as I'm looking at the developer and publisher, at a name that seems familiar. Either I'm getting confused with other names because the names are all so generic and it would be easy enough to confuse them, or maybe I'm wondering, is there a scheme that goes on where somebody releases the game, gets maybe I would say less than $100 in sales on that game when it comes out, and as they release that one game, right before that point they remove their previous game and then they re-release their previous game. And so it's just like this constant cycle where you have 4 or 5 games that you're always releasing, unreleasing, and releasing in an effort to get some kind of initial sales push for bad games. I wonder if that's a scheme that somehow can be pulled off, or if Valve would have a system against that. One would almost assume that if you remove your game, you have to pay another $100 to put it back on. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the case, and it's just a $100 initial investment. Alright, next game we have is a game called Heroes of Umbra. It's an action RPG indie. It kind of looks like Terraria, except for you're just fighting a lot of people. There's a ton of old school JRPG elements and screens and such. Let's see. $9.99, the only game from this developer.
One for all. I don't have enough.
Excuse me. So, this doesn't look terrible, it just doesn't look good either. It says it's single player, multiplayer, all-time peak of 13 people playing. There's 5 positive reviews and no negative reviews. Remember, I'm just playing cards here. That's all I care about. Just play all 100 cards. Be nice if I got wins, but not a big issue if I don't. Combining Terraria as a game that I'm not interested in with old school NES style JRPGs like Final Fantasy 1 or 2 or 3 that I'm not really that interested in. You give me a new game, doesn't really benefit me in any way, so I'm not interested in Heroes of Umbra. If you are interested in Terraria and JRPGs of that era, you probably might find something that interests you there.
Your magic shall not save you.
Let's just keep on attacking. My plugin is not working. I do not know why. So we've got a whole collection of tabs I had already talked about. Open twice. There's a game on Steam called Airplane Sky Voyage. It's from Playloft, which is a developer of games, none of which, several games have been about 20, but none of them have ever been rated higher than mixed. Indie simulator. I could be very wrong about this, in fact I suspect I am, but if I want to play a flight simulator, I think you're still probably in a good position to play Microsoft Flight Simulator. And not play something
Your magic shall not save you.
that is made by somebody else that I couldn't really trust. This is interesting. If he can't do 1 damage, I think I win next turn. So yeah, there's nothing on Airplane Sky Voyage that has my interest for $7.99. Definitely. It doesn't look that good. There's a not recommended review. It looks too simple, feels it looks like a smartphone game, at best. Shame. One of the recommended games is a game that was directly recommended to me as far as Steam's more like this, Bomber Crew, which I never got around to, and to be fair, it also never really picked up people's attention. So I have to take a kind of awkward lesson from that when a fan recommends a game to me, and then here we are 4 or 5 months later and didn't get big on YouTube. Nobody covered it as far as the big mainstream media, and I just don't see a way that I'd get much views from that game. Like, sure, I could do the thing that if I had an infinite amount of money I would do, which is play Bomber Crew and just purchase it. But since I live in the real world where I have to actually budget funds, I'm kind of glad to put that one on the back burner. That's not to say I will never play Bomber Crew, and if I could afford it during the summer sale, it would certainly be one that was at least very high, if not at the top of the list for games to purchase. But there's other directions. There's paths I've started. A lot of games like The Evil Within is a path I've started where I really would like to play The Evil Within 2, or I'm about to get around to playing Borderlands 2 because I've played Borderlands 1, or I'm gonna eventually play the next Assassin's Creed game because I played the first 4 Assassin's Creed games. Many paths down that direction, and very few of them finished. I guess the Sam and Max point and click adventure games have been finished, but then the Walking Dead point and click adventures haven't. Even on the Halloween month, there's a few games that I've started, and now there are sequels out there for me to play. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article, Spiderweb Software first ever Kickstarter is already a big success. This is an advertisement. We know for a fact that, well, we don't know for a fact, but it seems blatantly obvious that PC Gamer takes some kind of advertisement fee to advertise Kickstarter games. There's no reason to even talk about a game until it's been kickstarted and it has a trailer, an announced date, something at least, some little thing to not imply that this game is never coming out or it's coming out in 4 years. Next game we have on Steam is called Life Game Simulator. It looks like a garbage game. First game from this developer, 99 cents. It's like a single screen, terribly animated Unity game. No discount. I doubt anybody will buy it. It's based off the Game of Life, which was a programming algorithm somebody created a long time ago, and people would program it into like BASIC on their very, very early first and second generation personal computers, but it's hardly anything impressive. Let's see. Next game we have is a game called Great Mountain Experience. This is interesting. Is this a VR game? Yes, it is. Single player, only apparently works with the HTC Vive. 30% off for $1.39. And you're riding a roller coaster that seems like it is potentially just crashing you into a rock floating in the sky, and you're just riding this roller coaster through a sky area of floating rocks. So it doesn't seem like there's much of a story or anything there. So I think I can pretty much ignore that game, as I pretty much ignore all VR games.
Your magic shall
This
not
one is a
cease.
weird story. Apparently PC Gamer decided to make an indie zine, and so there's an article now that says we made a PC Gamer indie zine! Exclamation point. Read it for free here. What an indie zine is, to my understanding, is small black and white magazines that you would just self-publish. But you'd go to a photocopy and make a bunch of
shiny, lovely loot.
make a bunch of copies and either leave it somewhere for somebody to collect or pick up for free, or try and sell it or deliver it maybe through the mail, but it's very small runs. This is clearly some attempt at nostalgia. One of the pages is talking about Stardew Valley, which seriously, in this day and age, you're still talking about
Your magic shall
Stardew
not
Valley.
cease.
The world's moved on.
Die, mage.
I hunt alone.
Let's see. There's nothing here in an indie zine. In this indie zine here, they're also talking about butterfly soup.
Darkness.
There was an indie zine in Gone Home, I believe. That was just one of the many items you could pick up and look at. I've just scrolled through a PDF plugin, I believe, to see every page on this indie zine, and there's nothing there. Nothing there at all to watch or be interested in. Like, what a waste of somebody's time. Could you not find a better game to talk about? Like, as somebody who's looking at every single video game that's coming out on Steam, every 2 days I find at least something that I'd like to purchase and play, and I could write at least a little bit about. Or more, maybe I'd play 4 or 5 games, give them all a small experimental amount of exposure, and then so you can't
That's
hit
not
that
a
one.
valid target.
Right, well, but just letting your writers go crazy and make an indie zine instead of writing about a modern recent game is just bad editorial. Editoring, like, it's bad editor. It's a bad decision on the management's part. A waste of your employees' time. Here we've got somebody on this. We have Weirdo Jinx on the chat that says this chat needs another comment, so here you go. Thank you, Weirdo Jinx. Feel free to comment as much as you want, anyone. Like, I would, I think at this point, much prefer to have a very, very active chat to the point where I couldn't even control it all. YouTube did talk about how they were going to try to improve their algorithms so more things get into top chat that are worthy of being in top chat, which inherently means they're going to try and censor things that they don't believe are supposed to be in top chat to be hidden away under the live chat pull down. But I look at the live chat right now, so that's not a big issue, and I think I'd probably look at the live chat always. It would be more likely I would, at some distant point in the future, jump from looking at all the live chat messages to looking at only messages that come through Super Chat or whatever service I would set up. I guess Streamlabs is the service to use because Streamlabs apparently doesn't take any cut where YouTube is taking a rather large cut from the super chat for no reason, and inherently sponsorships and other things that YouTube rolls out does have YouTube taking giant cuts for doing practically no work at all. So we're over to the European account. Next game we have on Steam is called Orc Island. Is this a VR game? No, it just kind of looks like one. It's $9.99, and the graphics are pretty bad. This looks like a poor quality asset flip, and it's from a developer who has nothing else on Steam, and there's nothing on sale. So again, on the European account, we stopped at 19. That put us back down to rank 23. We need to play 50 Murlocs or 20 Murlocs and win 2 games with a Druid. We had a watch and learn, so I had to do that off screen. So let's open this. Hope for a legendary is ideally what we're looking for. We take an epic. I imagine all 5 of those cards, though, at this point have already been collected. So now we'll just turn those 5 cards into dust. Well, actually, apparently I had some extra cards. I had 8 cards. Well, before we do that, then let's look at the new cards and see what happened there. We got an epic, only 1. We got 2 of these. I'm gonna also right click these and see if that'll fix any glitches that might be in it. We've got 2 of these commons. We have this, and my policy on the European account is to disenchant goldens. So disenchant that and take the 50 dust. And then we have 2 of these and 2 of these. So now, then the question is, why do I still have 8 cards? I must have opened 2 packs. Whatever, I suppose that works itself out. Oh well, let's go ahead and set the noob card back as our card back and do that. Murlocs and Druids, probably not in the same run. Let's hand Druid is this deck from HS Replay, as all these decks are, and I don't really like the strategy behind it. It's just a weird way to play a game with a lot of cards that are very dependent on you having a lot of cards in your hand and not actually playing them. It feels like it just has this flaw to its logic where you're just, I suppose you're supposed to have a hand that's going to do a 1-turn kill, and I just don't feel like I'm at a level of skill where I could do a 1-turn kill. Anyways, Orc Island looks like garbage, so let's close that. Move on to the next game. Is this the game that we talked about before? Sort of. The Soviet Luna Park VR game is out, and it is the VR version of another game called Atomic Heart. But the VR version is 40% off for $11.39. It seems like what they did in a real weird experience is they made 2 games using the same assets, and one was for VR and one is for regular, almost as if the teams were not communicating at all. And this is weird because it looks like it's a VR on-rails shooter and the graphics don't look that good. So it makes me wonder and be more suspicious about Atomic Heart when that comes out, or if that is out already, what kind of product that's going to be. This Mundfish's game, Soviet Luna Park, it's just called Soviet Luna Park VR, is 82% of 17 user reviews positive, but I'm not sure I believe that. Meanwhile, Atomic Heart is the game and trailer that caught everybody's attention, so there's this bait and switch going on
My favorite.
are you gonna buy their VR game to help fund possibly an unfinished project? Because right now all we've got with Atomic Heart is a fancy trailer that's coming out a week before E3, which in itself implies something that they're trying to get ahead of things. Apparently 3 people have already played this game that's not out until 2019. I don't think the Steam database is as good as it would imply.
My favorite.
I did hear some talk about how Steam database and Steam, no, it was specifically Steam Spy, is not as accurate as you would guess. It's like only 90% or even maybe as low as 70% accurate, but even getting that level of accuracy is super helpful to game developers. Buy Atomic Heart, ignore, in my opinion, the VR one. It doesn't look good. And maybe don't buy Atomic Park until it's out and been reviewed. Definitely don't buy this next game called Bouncy Butterball. It's just a piece of garbage game, 188 achievements, $4.99. We kind of know what this is. It's a garbage achievement game, flooding Steam. Although the idea and the concept of it flooding Steam kind of falls apart because we really don't know what the capacity of Steam is. Like, in a real way, there's it seems like you can have near infinite numbers of games on Steam and it not really causing any problems because the Discovery 2.0 system seems to be able to sort it pretty well. Moving on, Gamer Sutra has an article. The Chinese game company iDream Sky aims to go public again. I don't know how this is working. Word is spreading today that the Chinese game company iDream Sky, best known for the West in the West for localizing and publishing games like Subway Surfers and Gardenscapes in China, is planning to go public on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. The fact the company, which counts as one of its major shareholders fellow Chinese game giant Tencent, is planning to go public is interesting since it already did so once already in America in 2014 on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. The company reportedly raised over $100 million from that IPO, but roughly 2 years later, iDream Sky delisted itself via merger at the urging of the co-founder and chief Chen Zhanggrao. I hope I pronounced that right. While the details of when iDream Sky will go public again in Hong Kong and how much it's valued at remain unclear, Variety cites financial industry sources to pug it at $300 million. So that seems like that's an interesting bit of corporate decision making. I suppose is the best way to say that. There's also a bit of Viacom and CBS corporate news happening of they're trying to go to merger. They're trying to merge, but they also hate each other apparently, and they're fighting over who's going to be in charge after the merger, which is very interesting to follow casually. Has nothing to do with video games, however. So moving on. Next game we have on Steam is called Naglogi, Nalogi 2. It says it's a casual RPG indie adventure strategy anime from a developer called Cute Anime Girls, who's released several other games, and most of them don't get anything above neutral, but there is a couple of games that are rated positive. They've made a game called LSD, NVL, Azura, and Weed. And I know LSD and weed are drugs. Is NVL and Azura some kind of slang for a drug too? This is from a publisher who's published nothing but these games from the developer Cute Anime Girls. To get to the girls themselves and their animation style, it's not great. It is not great. I believe they also have Putin in this game, so this looks like a bit of a troll. Charge. Let's play this.
Time waits for no one.
Draw 3 cards. So for the most part, this isn't an RPG Maker game, but it looks very similar to one. Although I would say the fight mechanic seems like it works a little bit better. But the characters don't look interesting if that's what you're coming for. And the animation style doesn't look good. This is an English, Russian, Ukraine languages, so it's kind of a Russian troll game. There's no reviews for it, so let's just move on. What is interesting here is it says it doesn't have a tag for nudity or sexual content, so this might be in an attempt to not gain the ire of Valve, which might be a good move. 6 armor. 6 armor, and then attack here, and then do this.
For the wilds.
Next game we have on Steam is called Necro Immortalis. It's another one of these spooky Unity games that are almost completely in the dark while you're running around with this flashlight in the forest or something. Even if you had like half a concept or half an idea in the middle of these games, they certainly don't ever seem to stand up to scrutiny as far as even a couple of hours of gameplay. Let's see, $4.99. No reviews, and let's see if this developer has made anything else. Yes, he has, and some of them are rated positively, but I still don't trust this one. Seems just like a low effort game. Next game may be a fake game or not. It's called Endless Fun: The Battle for Peanuts, and it has a stickman animation style. It says it's an action adventure casual. I don't know what we're doing here. Apparently we're walking stickmen across a road so that what?
Where shall I strike?
I have no idea what this is. It's clearly and obviously a extremely low quality game, however. extremely low quality game. From the developer who made Bitcoin Mini IA, M-I-N-I-A, can't even spell mania. Scam games. Languages are English and Russian. Who would have guessed? Moving on. Let's see. Is this the game that I'm thinking about?
Out of my jungle!
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator.
Let's just play a little Hearthstone for a second. There we go. So the next game we have is called Project Pastorate. P-A-S-T-O-R-A-T-E. This is from a developer called Payrob. It says it's a adventure into casual with violence. I'm not sure what this is. It looks like a visual novel to me. Or a hidden object game. Could be that too. And they've stopped labeling hidden object games as hidden object games because of the fact that there's usually something else in the hidden object game
This will be grisly.
that they can call it, and people don't particularly enjoy being called a hidden object game.
Who are you?
Go away!
Yes, doesn't look very interesting as a game. It's $3.99.
Your magic shall not save you.
It says it has an enthralling battle system that seems to be card-based, and I don't agree with it. And it says it has unique puzzles, and that's kind of it. It's English and Russian again. Maybe this is an actual attempt at a game though, so I'm not going to say that this is a low effort. I just think it's a failed attempt. So let's close that. Let's see. Draw a card. Draw a card. Deal one damage and draw a card. Let's see. Deal 3 damage. Moving on. Gamasutra has an article. GameStop's Q1 earnings can't match last year's Switch-driven heights, which is to say they didn't make as much money as they did last quarter, which is trouble because then that means the investors who only want you to every quarter post a profit are now upset with you because of their own ridiculous demands that a company always, without question, profits. It's just not realistic. Next, Gamasutra has an article. GameStop's new interim CEO is the former Microsoft VP Shane Kim. So, a lot of times when trying to be a CEO, you kind of have to go from a VP position to CEO at a different company, because it's very rarely the case that
It's time for
a CEO will just step down and say, well, this guy who was right below me will be in charge. Usually there's a internal politics against that, even if that is the way it should be. which maybe shouldn't. Yeah, this hand druid still doesn't make any sense, and it's taking forever for me to lose. See, Gamatsu has an article for World of Demons, a gameplay trailer. I wanted to see this because I haven't heard of this game, World of Demons. So, it's a smartphone game and it's probably only in Japan. Yeah, it's due out for iOS and Android this summer. It's from Platinum Games, though, so there is a reason to keep an eye on it. I may have seen one article about this, and it looks very much like it is a continuation of Okami or set in the same world of Okami. So, yeah, it's gonna be like this demon collection battling Pokemon-esque thing, but with Japanese demons instead of Japanese cutesy monsters. And this gameplay trailer doesn't look terrible. However, it is a smartphone game, so I'm never going to play it in the first place, so it's wasting my time.
I must protect the wild.
Let's see. I have half a mind just to concede this game right now. Next game we have on Steam is called Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All is a fun, aggressive first-person zombie survival shooter. It's a humble tribute to the evergreen FPS classics we all know and love, which is to say it is like a Roblox asset flip, as best as I can tell. DayZ, Undead, Unturned, not DayZ, but Unturned, the blocky zombie games that we've seen over and over again. $5.99, no discount at all. Yep, this is not a game you'd want to play. It's from a developer that hasn't done anything else. Not surprising that on a Friday, particularly the week before E3 happens, we start to see a lot of extra garbage just get rolled out. Next game we have is called 5 Rooms. 5 Rooms is a unique puzzle game that tells the story of a lonely traveler stuck between work and time. What is it really? Casual indie adventure strategy game? What is this really? Seems like you're just wandering down a hallway, and it looks like it too is a unturned clone. You can usually tell if the hand is square and blocky like a Roblox character or a Minecraft character, and it has a terrible menu interface of any kind, then you already kind of know that it's a garbage game. 10% off for 89 cents. At least this time the game is priced at a low price. And the publisher that's publishing this game has just a ton of very low effort games published. Let's see. Do 1 damage per card. Like the entire strategy of this deck is playing this mountain giant, and playing the mountain giant it's just not worth it.
For the wilds.
Just end the turn here. We already talked about Borderlands getting a PC, PS4, and Xbox One re-release as Borderlands is the complete collection. If Gearbox decides to sell that game a second time, I not sure I'd particularly buy it. Like, I already have Borderlands on PC. I don't really feel a need to buy it a second time, even if it is some kind of updated, better graphics. Like, at the very least, there has to be an import of the character in the save file, because there's no way I'm gonna play Borderlands what would now be probably a 6th or 7th time from the beginning. Well, no, it's not the 6th or 7th time from the beginning, but it's the 6th or 7th time I played Borderlands, and I'm not going to play it from the beginning again. If I get a free upgrade to the Game of the Year edition and it did drastically improve the graphics or something, I suppose that would be one of the few excuses you could make to go back and max level my character on my PC save. Play this.
Beetleberries, my favorite.
Next game we have on Steam is called Disjoint, which is some kind of indie puzzle game that I'm not sure I fully understand how it works. It seems like it is a pretty mind-bending game. And to be fair, this is a one-screen Unity puzzle game, so things I'm often critical of other games. Actually, it's not even one screen. It kind of has more of a mobile level feel. I'd say it has 2 or 3 screens, at least. So it's $2.99 for this game. It says it has 144 thoughtful puzzles. Let's see. The 2 reviews are positive, which doesn't really mean much. And this. And I'm gonna lose. Alright, well, let's see. The only thing that would scare me away from wishlisting Disjoint is if this developer or publisher had done something bad, but this is their first game, so I'll keep an eye on it. I'll wishlist Disjoint, DISJOINT. Seems like that works pretty well. There's another game here called 15 Seconds, which is a fast-paced flying through area, like artistically sharp, I will give it that, but it really seems like it is kind of just this basic arcade game that doesn't interest me. The only game that has been reviewed by this developer that is reviewed negative, and that's Locked In Syndrome, which is, I believe, a game I've looked at. Yeah, came out in January, and so yeah, 15 Seconds doesn't look like it's that great. It does seem like they are trying, but I don't think I'm ready for it. Yeah, this is a game where you're flying around a little triangle, avoiding walls and trying very hard to not die. And I imagine you're going to die a lot in 15 seconds. So let's close that tab. And where are we now? We need to play some Murlocs. We're not getting anywhere with the Druid victories. Surprise, surprise. Any of these, every single time I get a victory requirement, it just doesn't happen. And I've bent over backwards in Hearthstone to try to play decks that are supposed to win. This is directly integrated into Hearthstone Deck Tracker, which is the tracking app I use to stream with, and put the deck here, assuming that's been showing today. And they integrated with hsreplay.net, and hsreplay.net said, play Hand Druid. That wins. That'll get you victories. It's not done anything. We've been going for an hour now, and we're still at rank 23, and I don't think we've won a single victory at all. So good thing I'm covering the news, otherwise that would have been just a waste of an hour, but for the most part it still is. I hate to have to complain every single so often about Hearthstone and its incredibly poor win to loss ratio, but it sucks. They really just need to flood their ranked play with bots. Who cares? Just every third game, put me with a bot that is designed to lose and will make mistakes and do something stupid. Get everybody's win ratio up to 90 and then balance it once everybody is up to rank 1 legendary. Or take away the bots once you get up to rank 10 or something. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.